At this time is back. Excited to be joined by Larnell Vickers. We're talking talent. Larnell, how long do you think we've known each other now?
Oh, I think it's been at least 5 years
Yeah, at least, yeah. Yep.
or more. I think at least 5 years. I think,
We have
yeah.
connection through many different ways, teaching back in the day, a little bit of NLC as well. But then your talent world is always so interesting to me. You've done such interesting stuff, kind of creating your own shop. How do you describe what you do when people meet you on the street or kind of chat you up? What's your shorthand description for how you spend your days?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm gonna share with you high level, and then I'll share with you actually what I do, and you'll understand why I say that. Because essentially, for the work that I do, and it goes on both ends with organizations as well as with individuals, I'm really big about making sure that people can align work to purpose, right? To really think about their gifts, their talents, and their abilities, their interests, and their passions tied to the work that they're doing, tied to the impact they're ultimately looking to have in the world, and to have it to be that organizations are able to hire people who are aligned to work and to purpose. And the reason being is that two things happen. And one is that you get skilled workers who are highly qualified, but also you have workers and professionals who are actually going to be in the work for the long haul, right? To actually retain talent, to grow talent within organizations, and so that you have leaders that can make sustainable impact, right? So all my work goes back to purpose driven work, purpose driven leaders that make a greater impact in the world.
And then how did you learn that? How did you learn talent? Did you back into it kind of a similar way to me where I just enjoyed talking to people and building teams, or was there actually like somebody who trained you on the technical skills of finding talent and
Yeah,
interviewing people? How did all this come to be?
yeah, that's a good question. So, as you know, I did Teach for America. And actually, before I actually even did Teach for America, I actually recruited for Teach for America because I
Oh,
was a
nice.
campus campaign coordinator on the campus. So I was a student leader, and the recruitment manager at the time actually is a really good friend of mine now. Shout out to Angie Bryce. We connected, and essentially, I supported in recruitment efforts on the campus, helping to get seniors interested in the work, doing info sessions, talking to folks, encouraging folks to apply, even before I was in the Corps. So that's kind of like my first touch point of like recruitment. And as back then, I'm sure even still now, I mean, Teach for
Hardcore.
America recruitment is like hardcore. Like,
Excel
there's whole
spreadsheets and flashes.
spreadsheets. I've never seen so many spreadsheets in my life. Databases. We had to enter into databases and candidates, and you know, and it's very important to stay meticulous and detail oriented. And so, I learned the mechanics. Just seeing, as a college student, like in the work of just recruiting for TFA. And so, I did the core experience, and then after I did the core experience, I went into my first recruitment role officially,
Mhm.
working for Uncommon Schools. But yeah, that was kind of like the entry point of just kind of experiencing it on my own in college.
And then what was the thinking or the motivation to kind of go out on your own and make your own shop? What was the driving force behind that?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So at that point, I have, I think I was in like recruitment for at least 10 years. And one of the things I was seeing is that, in most cases for organizations, they're not offering feedback to candidates. Right? Candidates are going through the interview process and they're not getting feedback. And I think for me, what was so interesting, having support so many different candidates at the time through the interview process, I always wanted to actually sit down with candidates and just give them feedback, or at least to coach or support them, right? Like, hey, let's put up your resume. Let's like look at the resume. Like, hey, like your interview and your interview stages, you could have done this or tweaked this to do better. Or hey, let's look at your LinkedIn profile, right? It was just like an innate within me, like I wanted to do those things. And so I was talking to a friend of mine, and they said, "Hey, you should look into coaching. Like people do career coaching." And so I got my coaching certification, got certified as a coach, came out and became a career coach as well as a recruiter. And so the whole purpose and behind the work that we do is to have it to be that, yes, we're helping organizations to find great talent, but also we're helping to support the development of these professionals and their ability to tell their story and the ability to actually understand their work, understand their purpose, understand why they do their work, which makes for an even meaningful search and as well as impactful search for the candidate, for the person that's looking for work, and as well as a win for the organization once they actually receive that talent as well. So that's kind of what's behind the thinking of just wanting to start my own thing to be able to see I can connect the dots of like recruiting and coaching, to support on both ends of the spectrum there.
I feel like at this point I've also sent you bunch of friends who are in the job market, like talk to Larnell. He's gonna help you figure it out. What kind of patterns do you see when people come to you and they're like just starting a search or they're just trying to get their foot in the ground and get some momentum with companies? Like what patterns do you see? What are you coaching people the most on? Is it resume or something else?
Yeah, I think the biggest question that we tend to see is around what's next? Like, what should I do next? And that goes for people who have done phenomenal things in their career, to people who are looking to pivot to something else. In most cases, people might have somewhat an idea, but are not very clear about what that is. So there is like this career discovery piece of just identifying like where are my values, like where are my strengths, what are the things I'm actually really good at, along with the things I actually love and enjoy doing. And based upon like just really doing this deep dive around it, what does it reveal as like the must haves I definitely want to have within my career? And also, how does that translate to different roles and different opportunities? Because in most cases for job seekers, it's really about like, let's see what sticks. Start applying for a lot of different roles. Let's have a lot of different conversations and let's just see what happens. And if you can actually really get focused around like what is it that you want and what is it that you want to target and go after that and build a strategy plan around that, like you will gain traction faster and quicker towards landing your next role.
I feel like you must have coached so many people at this point on interviewing and
Mhm.
strengthening answers and how to handle difficult questions. What are some of the patterns that you see there? Where could folks, if they're just listening to this, try to improve without having you there coaching them? Like, what kind of things do you see that you want people to get better at?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So one is, and I'll connect both the career story piece to the actual building the case within the interview process. Essentially, with having a career story, it's your brand, it's your presence, it's what you're known for. It's the skill set that you have, it's the expertise, the mastery, the zone of genius. Essentially, the interview process is to build upon that premise around who you are and what you could deliver on. So you really want to think about yourself as a brand and what you're offering and what you're trying to solve for. Because every single question that you're being asked is going back to reinforcing who you are and what you could deliver on. In most cases, what we tend to find with job seekers is that they're trying to guess what is the right answer or what is it that you're thinking that I should be saying to actually then get this job. And so it's this whole thing around let me figure out what to say or how to say it or what's the best answer to say versus how to actually know your brand, know who you are, know what you deliver on, knowing all the different key examples and wins and accomplishments, double down on your actual commitment of excellence and what you do for organizations, and to have that shine through when you're actually responding each and every time within the interview process.
What are you seeing on the organization side? I'm thinking specifically about AI. My boss is very much invested in it, and she's helped me learn a lot on how we can sort of improve the efficiency of our team. We haven't really gotten to a point of AI as screening resumes or doing anything crazy like that. But I'm curious because you work with so many different companies, many different sizes. Are you seeing AI gatekeepers now? How are you sort of planning for candidates to navigate that world?
Yeah, no, that is the world we're about to enter into. I mean, we're seeing it, right? Because, I mean, some companies are already there, some companies are trying to get there, but we're already seeing like thousands of applications for different roles.
Hmm.
I mean, the influx in number of applications has increased. And so, how can it be that recruiters are being efficient with their time to have the ATS system to screen, through AI around, hey, I want you to look for these keyword search terms. I want you to look for these years of experience. I want you to look for this educational background. I want you to look for, and for AI to just to go through applications to say, hey, out of all the different screens, out of all applications, hey, here are the ones that we recommend.
Hmm.
And then you build your pull from there. So I definitely think, I mean, one, it's already here, it's already happening, but then also I think we'll have to see that more and more companies are going towards that. So when it comes to the job description, when it comes to job seekers, they have to get very, very clear about what's being asked of me and what's needed, black and white, around the job description, the duties and responsibilities, and what I need to deliver on for this particular organization to make sure it's demonstrated in your resume.
I just picture like it's a battle of robots because the candidate has AI capabilities too, right? Can put the JD into their AI and it spits out exactly, and then the organization has their robot, and they're just kind of like battling it out. And at some point, like, can we just talk to each other and figure out if this is going to work? We can
No, for
probably
sure.
figure it out in about 10 minutes if we should keep talking to each other. So yeah, I'm curious, kind of what the it's almost like an AI arms race on both sides. What will be some of the longer term implications here? Hey, last thing, one of the things I always appreciate you doing is in-person events and things like that. What's on the docket for 2025? Anything you're cooking up across the country?
Yeah, no, for sure. So we've been leaning a lot into different virtual events, but also we'll be launching. We have a Creative for the Soul, right? And so Creative for the Soul, just let folks know and listeners know, is essentially helping organizations and job seekers to connect, but also have it to be that job seekers and candidates can also grow by actually having companies to actually lead PDs. So a lot of times we're having different workshops. It's the companies that are leading those workshops to help really pour in to help to develop talent, which then when people are learning and growing from one another, it helps to build relationships. And so we are looking to do Creative for the Soul later this fall. Dates will be announced in New York City. And so looking to continue to grow that work so that more connections can be made and that more and more folks can align work to purpose each and every time.
Nice. Last thing, how can folks find you? How can folks reach out to you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, just my name, Larnell Vickers, as well as on LinkedIn. Same thing, Larnell Vickers. Definitely feel free to reach out to me, message me, connect with me on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you and to stay in contact.
That's good. All right, man. Stay safe out there. Appreciate you. Thanks for everyone listening to the latest episode of At This Time. Find us, of course, all the places you get your podcasts and this 4K sharp video. Learn looks great. I look great. We're on YouTube now. Check us out. Like and subscribe. All the good stuff. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.